I made this video in order to show you the difference between how to balance off an account and how to close it off to another one. The cases are taken from chapter 10 and 11 of my textbook Basics of Accounting.
I'm Carsten Berkau, full accounting professor in Osnabrück. My BasicsClips will help you to understand international bookkeeping.
The textbook chapter 10 defines the cash bank account of PELZERHAGEN Proprietary Limited. You notice there is an opening value of 100,000. It has to be on the debit side. On the debit side, you further find a receipt of 130,000. On the credit side, we record payments. Here the company paid 3,448,000. The question is, how much is the balancing figure in this account? In order to see the balancing figure, we have to balance off the account. That will result in the balance carried down, which is here on the credit side to the extent of 178,600, and a balance brought down to the same extent of 178,600. The cash bank account is debit balanced. The reason is that the balance brought down can be found on the debit side. To balance off an account requires that we calculate on both sides how much will be the total. As you can see, the value on the credit side is lower. That's the reason why we ignore it. How much do we have to add to the credit side so that on both sides the total will be 230,000? We must add on the side where the total is lower the difference of, in this case here, 178,600. Now both sides will add up to 230,000. As we now only made an entry on the credit side, we have to make a bookkeeping entry on the debit side as well. We'll call it the balance brought down. 178,600. Carried down stands for balance carried down, and BD stands for balance brought down. Next, we will do this in Microsoft Excel. I calculate how much will be the total on both sides. We see that we have to add the balance carried down on the credit side. In order to calculate the balancing figure, I take the total and I deduct all the entries on the credit side therefrom. For the balance brought down, I refer to the cell goal 5. As we can see, the balancing figure of the bank account appears on PELZERHAGEN Proprietary Limited's balance sheet under Cash Bank. Note, if that item is negative, we must disclose accounts payable. Next, we study how to close off an account. In our case, we want to close off the rent account to the profit and loss account. As you can see, we first balanced off the account. At that moment, the rent account was debit balanced. Thereafter, we made a bookkeeping entry with reference profit 7 loss, which transferred the balancing figure to the profit and loss account. The company PELZERHAGEN paid quarterly rent. We record the bookkeeping entry 1 alpha to the extent of 850. After we recorded all 4 bookkeeping entries, we balance off the account. Next, we want to transfer the 3,400, which is an expense in the rent account, to the profit and loss account. We record the profit and loss account for the accounting period 2007. In the profit and loss account, we make an entry for the rent to the extent of 3,400. We make a credit entry in the rent account with the reference profit 7 loss. This way we transferred the rent expenses to the profit and loss account. I record rent for the company PELZERHAGEN by 4 quarterly bookkeeping entries. Next, I balance off the rent account. The rent account is debit balanced. In order to transfer the expenses to the profit and loss account, I record a debit entry in profit and loss. The credit entry is recorded with reference profit 7 loss in the rent account. This way the rent account is zero balance. The expenses for rent appear now in the profit and loss account on the debit side.
Now that you have seen the video, take the textbook and study the case.